Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the Open the Line. Corey and Benny coming at you on a Taco Tuesday. You know what I'm saying, Benny? You getting any tacos today?
We actually are. We have the chopped meat laying out tonight. I'm gonna do tacos with the kids. So last Tuesday at the summer. So last Taco Tuesday down the shore for us.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Taco Tuesday. So last night really didn't get nothing much going on here. I had a baseball parlay. I think I had the Brewers. The bottom of the first, it was 6-0, something like that. I was like, well, this is ridiculous. So you know what I mean? I just spent the night doing what I do. You know what I'm saying? And a little bit of football stuff was coming down the pipe, but nothing really major last night as far as the NFL is concerned. So still waiting on holdouts and stuff like that. Obviously, reverberations from the Andrew Luck retirement. You know what I'm saying? Different guys talking about it and stuff like that. Man, I'm telling you, Benny, I'm just kind of thankful I wasn't too much exposed to Luck and T.Y. and guys like that. You know what I'm saying? Even though I really liked them a lot, but when that injury red flag started popping up, I was like, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and this is something that we're starting to see here. It's getting close to opening day. You still got Melvin Gordon holding out. You still have Ezekiel Elliott holding out. Those were things that a lot of people were either one way or another we're considering big deals or we're considering not big deals. The Luck thing, the fact that he hadn't practiced in a couple months. I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago where at the very least we were like, all right, we got to start getting a little bit concerned here. Like, if he's not playing by week 3, that's, really the dress rehearsal. And then, he's not going to play until opening day. And I mean, I don't think either one of us contemplated something like this happening, but it definitely was something that kind of ticks down a guy like T.Y. Hilton a little bit. I don't know if you saw yesterday. I mean, obviously, this news is so new that a lot of people haven't had a chance to really dig deep into the analysis. Yesterday was the first time I kind of saw anything on Jacoby Brissett. And basically what the stats were showing was when he was the quarterback the last time, he used his tight ends a lot more than the average person uses their tight ends or the average quarterback. It was something like 25% versus 10 or 15%. In a preseason, he had targeted his tight ends more than the average person targets their tight ends. And even in the regular season, when he played in regular season games, he's been targeting the tight end more so. So here we were thinking that Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle were going to take a little bit of a beating without Luck, when actually they might be the two guys that could benefit from it.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's interesting right there. I do think Eric Ebron still has a chance to come in there and have a good season this year. Been on Ebron for years and he failing for years. Last year he came through mainly with those touchdowns. I think I think him in the red zone is not an accident. I think that's something that they look for and that they practice. So I can get behind you on that one, Benny. As far as the rest of it, I would worry about analysis of the 2017 season, I believe that was, being, I don't want to say sketchy, but kind of like it was a totally different regime.
Well, I mean, it was a different offense, different offensive coordinator, different offensive scheme, different offensive line, which is the big thing that we've talked about already. It's like, when you don't have an offensive line, your numbers aren't going to look good. I don't care how good you are as a quarterback,
Yep, you can't do nothing.
Yeah, so you go from literally one of the worst offensive lines to one of the best offensive lines in the league. And that's why I said, like, people that are down on Jacoby Brissett and down on, the 6.5 win total for the Colts and all that right now, I honestly think the Colts are going to be – listen, I don't think they're going to be as good as they could be with Andrew Luck, right? Like, Luck was the 3rd highest rated quarterback in the league last year behind only Pat Mahomes and Drew Brees, I think. And really, Pat Mahomes had, like, a off-the-charts kind of season, Andrew Luck was very, very good.
He was excellent.
Yeah, I don't think Jacoby Brissett is going to be that good, but I don't think he's going to be a scrub either. Like, people are acting like, you're throwing some, nobody in there who's never been in an NFL game before. Like, Jacoby Brissett has won NFL football games before. Jacoby Brissett was a guy who the Colts thought enough of to trade a pretty high draft pick to the Patriots for a couple years ago. The guy can actually play a little bit of football. And we forget the reason why we were predicting this Colts team for 10-plus wins is because they have a good line, because the defense is improved, because their skill position players are better than they've been in the last couple of years. Yeah, you don't have Andrew Luck, but, literally every other position from the last time that Jacoby Brissett was in there is better. So this should be a pretty decent team at least.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that, Benny. And like I said, the Frank Reich thing plays a major role too. Frank Reich being a backup quarterback, it's almost like he's built to coach other backup quarterbacks. They have a certain type of bond, those guys. Speaking of week one, let's hop into some of these week one point spreads. I haven't really had a chance to talk about them much, Benny. The season starts and it kicks off with the Packers and the Bears in Soldier Field. Not doing a Super Bowl winner this year to start the season, because as the NFL celebrates their 100th anniversary, they are opening the season with their oldest rivalry, the Bears and the Packers. This one will be from Soldier Field. It's opened up at 4. It's been bet down at 3.5. At least that's what I'm getting on FanDuel. Most of the money is on the Packers. I'm on the Bears.
Yeah, I kind of think I want to be on the Bears side of this game. I'm trying to open up the sports book right now. You said the Packers are favored by 3.5?
No, the Bears are favored by 3.5. My fault if I said that.
Oh, okay. The Bears are favored by 3.5. It's at Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that.
Buy it down to 2.5. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, the big thing is the hook there, right? I'd much rather it hope that it drops down to 3 and at least get the push on that. But
exactly.
I still think I'd rather be on the Bears side of this game. I mean, the Bears were the better team last year, in my opinion. So
yeah,
they're getting the home game. Like, to me, that's worth it.
The Packers are a public team. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of Packer fans. People recognize Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. So the Packers are one of those teams right there where their numbers will always be higher. I mean, the bets are 68% lean Packers. And then, I even break it down to New Jersey. It's the same. So the bets are 68% lean Packers, while the money is still slight amount of +8 money on the Bears. But you look at the Packers as coming into this game as a heavy public favorite, even though they're in an underdog situation. So you're looking at this Packer team coming into the season. A lot of questions about Aaron Rodgers, Benny, and how's he going to cooperate with Matt LaFleur. And I think that we know that the Bears are a team that people think can make a deep playoff run, even though I'm suspect of that.
So you're saying that more of the bets have come in on the Packers, but more of the money's on the Bears, right?
Well, put it like this. Let me not say it like that. The bets are on the Packers. The money is on the Packers too, but you get put it like this. 68% of the bets are the Packers, 32% of the bets are the Bears. 60% of the money is the Bears, 8%, 40% of the money is the Packers. So you get about an 8% lean of sharper money coming in on the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, that usually means that the public is more on the Packers and the big bettors are more on the Bears.
Yeah.
Because the big bettors, the big money there, that's what tends to move it. I don't really care what the public thinks. I'm more worried about what the big bettors think. I mean, that's really the way I kind of look at it. The public to me is usually misinformed and wrong.
Yes, the public is go the opposite way of the public.
Yeah, the big bettors, that's really what you want to look at is where the money's coming in because, for all intents and purposes, I don't care if 100,000 people are betting on the Packers. I care if the 100 people who are betting a significant amount of money are betting on the Packers or not because that's really what's going to push the money.
Funny thing was the Florida-Miami game on Saturday night. I think it had actually hit 1 million point spread bets on the Florida Gators. At that point, I was like, "Oh, Miami's covering this number." You know what I'm saying, son? Yeah. Always be on the side of the casino, Benny. The casino.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they don't build those buildings that big because they're losing money on a consistent basis. You know what I'm saying? They're pretty damn good at this.
No doubt. Moving right along. This is an interesting one right here. Opens up at 3.5. The Ravens and the Dolphins open up as a Raven or 3.5 point favorites. It's now up to 5. 5 is a tricky number, right? Now, the public and the sharps are all over the Baltimore Ravens in this game right here. If I was to bet this game, Benny, I would bet the Ravens money line. I don't like that 5. That's a crooked number.
Yeah, or, one of my favorite things to do with NFL football, too, is teases. You tease, you get 6 points on 2 teams. When you find a team, like you find the team that's up a touchdown, it's like a touchdown favorite or a 7.5 point favorite, and you can tease it down to 1.5. A game like this, especially now that it's creeping up to -5, you can tease it down to getting, +1 on the Ravens, which really doesn't matter. It's basically like taking the Ravens money line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, five is a lot of points. It's in Miami or it's in Baltimore?
Game is in Miami.
Yeah, that's tough, man, because you're basically saying at -5, you're basically saying that Baltimore is
Winning by a touchdown on the road in week
yeah,
one.
and you're basically saying that they're 8 points better because you're giving Miami 3 points for it being a home game. You're saying if the Ravens were at home, the Ravens would be an 11-point favorite in that game because they'd be getting a 3 back and they'd be getting 3 for being home. It just seems like too many points to me. Like, I don't know. So if I could tease it down, or like you said, if I could take the money line, that's probably something I did. What's the money line? Is it like -300?
Probably.
Something?
Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you 1 minute right here. I'm looking at the point spreads now. Let me look at the money line on this one right quick. Let's flip it around. It is -215, Benny.
It's not horrible. I mean, basically,
not horrible at all.
Yeah, what I usually like to do, like I said, find another game that you like too that you could tease, or see what it would pay to parlay both of those money lines, right? Because if you're teasing something down from like 7-1 or like 6.5-1, you're basically taking it, at even money. You're trying to get it down so that it's basically a pick 'em and you just got to win the game. So see what the parlay pays versus, what you could get if you tease the two of them down. And then whichever one of those is a better payout or a better risk reward for you, that's the way to go. But I wouldn't take this game straight up at -5.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to take it straight. I agree with you on that one. This one may not make the final week one card as it is. Oh, another tough one right here, Benny. Another crooked number. That 5 comes into play yet again. You got the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns, America's sweethearts. The Cleveland Browns opens up Cleveland laying 5, pushes up to Cleveland laying 5.5. The public on Cleveland, the Sharps on Tennessee.
It's at Cleveland and the Sharps are on Tennessee.
Yep. A wide margin too, Benny.
I mean, listen, the other thing too is like all the money's not down on a lot of these games, right? Like, I'm not going to lie to you, Corey. This is probably the first time I've looked at these spreads in about 2 weeks since they actually came out too. A lot of people didn't start getting their money down yet. So I wouldn't be too crazy looking at that. I don't get that at all. To me, Cleveland would be the team that I think I would be on. Maybe the Sharps are thinking the game's going to be a little bit closer because Tennessee tends to play ugly games. But I think this Browns team is going to put a lot of points up. So I would not be. I'd be more likely, honestly, to take this one than I would be with the Ravens.
Really?
I would take the Browns at -5 more than I would take the Ravens at -5. But again, this is one of those ones where you look at the money line, maybe you parlay it together with the other one, or you tease them down so that it's just a pick 'em. That's probably the way I'd go. The reason 5 is a number that we're a little bit afraid of, there are key numbers in football. 3 and 4 are 2 of those key numbers because 7 minus 3 is 4, and if you win by a field goal, it's 3. So a lot of games will end with the 3 because somebody kicks a last-minute field goal. We see that all the time. Or a lot of games will end in a 4 because it'll be like 21-17 or 28-24 because somebody had 3 touchdowns and a field goal and the other team had 4 touchdowns or something along those lines. So in the sport of football, when you have to move through the 3 and 4 numbers, those are tough, which is why, I try not to take numbers that are at 5. Again, 6 is another key number. 7 is another key number. When you move through those numbers in football and you have a lot of those key numbers to deal with, it never feels good to be on that side. So like 4.5 is just as bad as 6 in my opinion, because you still got to move through those same key numbers. So I don't really like the 5 spread. I don't want to take that.
No, 5 is not a good one either. I agree with you on that one. It's 30. It is at least the numbers I'm looking at does have at least 3,600 bets on this game, right? Now, if you look at the money line on this one, Benny, I think we would agree that Cleveland's a good money line bet right here. They're coming in at -245. I don't know. Something about this one says leave this one alone. I want to see Cleveland first. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. I mean, listen, most people there's a lot of money bet on Cleveland to win the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
A ton of money bet on them to win the division. They've been taking money all off season. If you can't cover against Tennessee in week 1, then you don't deserve to have, you don't deserve to have any of that money over there. That's the way I look at it.
I feel you, Benny, but like you always say, you don't have to bet it. You know what I'm saying? So
right
here, I would probably leave off the ticket at
You got one of those feelings. I know what you're saying. I get them sometimes too. Games I just avoid.
I'm in on the Browns, but I got that feeling about this one right here. The season off. One thing I will tell you about this, the 5 number, Benny. At some point in this game, somebody's going to have a 5-point lead. Watch. It always happens in pro football with a 5. The score always ends up at between the score. At some point in the game, the score is always a 5-point difference. And you're like, oh, my God. Here's one that I do like, Benny. I like this one a lot. Atlanta in Minnesota. It opened up at 4. It's still at 4. The game is in Minnesota. Atlanta's catching 4 on the road. PointsBet will give you Atlanta at 4.5. All the bets and all the money are on the Falcons. Now, if you bet last year heavily in the NFL, as I did, the Atlanta Falcons are the worst team in pro sports against the spread. They're money burners. And the Minnesota Vikings will cover this spread because the Atlanta Falcons do not cover point spreads, Benny. They just don't do it. They didn't do it in the preseason. They didn't do it last year. The only team worse in pro sports is the Golden State Warriors. And the Warriors are mainly overvalued because they're the Warriors. You know, Atlanta is just – they just don't – Dan Quinn don't cover point spreads.
It's at Minnesota?
In Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota getting 4.5 or 4 at home. I mean, that's tough. Like I do not mind that at all. I think I would rather.
I think Atlanta's the best. I think Atlanta's the better team. I think Atlanta can play further into the year. Minnesota's going to win this game.
I really don't know if Atlanta's the better team. That's my thing. It's like if you're giving me 4 points on what I think is pretty much a toss-up, I'd rather be on the Viking side of this game. I mean, give me, I'll take the safety of getting 4 points as well. I honestly,
Atlanta's getting the 4. Minnesota's laying the 4.
Oh, Minnesota's laying 4. I thought you said Minnesota was getting 4. That's why I was like, getting 4 at home. How do I not take that? I mean, if I'm getting 4 in Atlanta, I'd probably be on the Atlanta side. I'm not lying there.
They don't cover spreads, Benny. They don't cover spreads.
You're getting 4 points on Atlanta, like that's tough, man. Even I know they're on the road. Like, I would be on the Atlanta side of this. I like Atlanta plus 4 here.
68% of the bets on the Falcons, 75% of the money's on the Falcons. I think Minnesota covers the spread, bro. I'm telling you, I've lost a lot of money to Atlanta, and I will bet this game right here, Benny. And if I get off, if Atlanta covers the spread, never again this season. They're off my radar. Period.
Who, Atlanta or Minnesota?
Atlanta. If I bet on Minnesota, right, which I will, I'm going to later forward Minnesota. If Atlanta covers the number, Benny, I am not betting a Falcon game the rest of the year. I'm not letting the Falcons take my money no more.
But if because you're going to be on the other side of it. I don't know. Listen, the Falcons at home are a team I always bet the over when the Falcons are at home, and I usually bet on the Falcons at home.
I can do the over.
Yeah, on the road, they don't tend to put up as many points, but I still don't want to. I mean, I think this Falcons team is pretty good. I think this Minnesota's team is good, but either one of these teams getting 4, the number just seems too big to me.
All right. It's going to be interesting how that one right there plays out. Kansas City travels to Jacksonville. Jacksonville catching 4.5 at home. It opened up at 4.5 and bet down to 4. FanDuel, you can get Jacksonville at 3.5. Well, it's down to 3.5 now. So they're giving you the hook with the Jaguars. The bets and the money both favor the Kansas City Chiefs. Right quick, the money line on this one, Benny, if you think you want to put it in some parlays or something like that, the money line on KC is minus 220. This one seems a little interesting to me too. But Andy Reid teams early in the season, they tend not to play around. Jacksonville is a good defensive ball club, and you got to like it more with Nick Foles in the mix. It would probably be a no bet for me because of the nature of the AFC. But if I had to, I would lay the 3.5 with the Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, I think people are crazy if you're not laying the 3.5. 3.5 is way too little. Way too little. On a neutral field, that means that this is only 6.5. That KC is only 6.5 points better than the Jags. Jags are breaking in a new quarterback. Like I just don't see that. I don't see why. I'm not scared of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'd be all over Kansas City -3.5 here.
No BDN, no Nick Foles love, no, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I love Big Dick Nick, but no, this is not the spot. Like Big Dick Nick against like the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to be banging it. Against Kansas City, though, I mean, listen, this was the most explosive offense in the league last year. The only way they don't cover the spread is if Pat Mahomes doesn't finish the game standing upright. It's the only way they don't cover. Because this is a team that puts up big numbers and wins games going away by big numbers. Like,
Especially
3.5 is too little. It's too small a number.
Especially early in the season. Andy Reid teams tend to come out on fire. Or they slide in January.
Yeah.
But they tend to come out on fires. So if I had to pick a side, I would go with the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are a bad bet in this case at all. Here's an interesting one, Benny. Carolina catching 3 at home against the defending NFC champion Rams. Opened up at 3. It's still sitting at 3. Carolina catching 3 at home. My guess is Cam Newton will be there. Big money and big bets. Both sides are the Los Angeles Rams. I would go with the Carolina Panthers, and I would want it at 3.5.
I'm not touching this one. I
would money line the Panthers on this one, Benny.
What's the money line? What are you getting on it?
Only 130, but
yeah, that's not great. I don't think that's a horrible idea with them being at home. I'm a little worried because I want to see how Cam is. I mean, I know they said he's fine, but anytime you walk away from a game in a walking boot, I'm a little worried.
Yeah,
So I don't know. This is one that I kind of feel like I just want to stay away from. I mean, you got a team coming from the West Coast to the East Coast. Is it a 1:00 game?
Yeah, 1:00 start.
You know, that's one of my biggest things when you got a West Coast team flying over for a 1:00 game. It probably, and I'd have to actually check the numbers on this, it's probably not as big a deal for week 1 because they could always come over earlier. It's not like they have to go home and practice because they just had a game last Sunday and now they're coming over. But during the season, whenever you get a team flying from the West Coast to the East Coast for a 1:00 game, a lot of times that winds up being a big upset or somebody who had a big point spread that doesn't cover. It's one of those, one of those.
I've lost some survival pools because of that, Benny.
Yeah, it's one of those sharp guy spots that you got to kind of watch out for during the year. Like I said, for week 1, it might not be as big a deal because you're not in the flow of playing a game and then going and practicing for 4 days and then traveling, sleeping one night and then waking up and playing a game the next day. But it's still not, again, your body clock. If you've ever flown from, California to New Jersey or something like that and back, it takes a couple days for your body to adjust to it. So, whenever I see a team West Coast flying to the East Coast and having to be up to play a 1:00 game, it's really like you're up at 9, 10 in the morning to play, which means you're getting up at like 5 or 6 in the morning to get ready to play. It's just not something that your body really wants to do. So, like I said, for week 1, I don't think it's that big a deal, but I'm staying away from this game. I'm not touching Rams and Panthers.
Yeah, it might be a part of a teaser for me, especially if I can get that Panther number up, somewhere around 10 or catch a half point on it, get that hook rolling, Benny. I'll jump with it. Interesting that you talk about this, and I'm about to get to the Buffalo and the New York Jet game. The Bills, if I'm not mistaken, the Bills start the season at the Meadowlands. I think the Bills play the Giants in week 2 at the Meadowlands also.
Yeah, I think don't they play like 3 of the first 5 games at the Meadowlands or something like that?
It might be.
Yeah, I thought I remember.
They might be in the Meadowlands back-to-back weeks. They might be at Jets in week 1 and at Giants in week 2.
Now, see, here's the difference, though. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, for all intents and purposes, like Buffalo's a 4 or 5 hour car ride or like an hour and a half flight. Like it's not. I mean, they're both in New York technically. You know what I mean? Like, it's not far from each other there. So I don't think that's that big a deal. I think it's more that big a deal that I just don't think Buffalo's going to be that great this year. Is the big thing.
No, I would agree with you on that, Benny.
They'll win one of those games, though. And I hate to say it as a Jet fan. They'll win one of those games. They'll either beat the Jets or the Giants at home.
Jets laying 3. The bets are on the Jets. The money's on the Jets. I would never in my life put my good hard-earned money on a football game that includes the Jets and the Bills because something weird is going to happen.
We were there last year. Remember that? We went to that game. We went to that game last year. All right, so I'm going to say this now for anybody who's watching the show. And for the rest of the year, I just want you guys to all keep this in mind. Do not listen to me when I tell you to bet on or against the New York Jets. Because I every other game, I objectively bet with my head. When it's the Jets, I bet with, I'm a Jet fan. So I'm always going to bet with my heart. I'm never right on the Jets. Let me just say that. Like, I'll get so disgusted during the year that I'll be like, screw it. I'm finally betting against the Jets. And that's the game that they go out there and win like 28-10. So for the rest of the season, like, don't listen to a single word Corey says about the Dallas Cowboys because he's not using his head when he says it. Same thing for the New York Jets. When the New York Jets game comes up, just listen to what Corey has to say because I'm always going to say Jets, and I'm probably wrong, but it is what it is.
Oh, no, Benny, I don't even – I bet on the Cowboys once. No, twice last year. Both times in the playoffs. I do not bet on the Dallas Cowboys.
Speaking of betting on the Dallas Cowboys, did you see the I don't know if you saw on DraftKings Sportsbook the new bonus that they're offering?
What's that?
All right, so if you take the Cowboys to win the NFC East, which they're, I want to say plus 150, plus 160, somewhere in there to win the NFC East, you get you have to bet at least $25 on it, and they'll give you $5 back on your bet for every game that Zeke doesn't play.
That he doesn't play.
That he doesn't play. So if he sits out for 5 weeks, you're basically free rolling Dallas winning the NFC East without him. If he sits out for 10 weeks, they could lose the NFC East, and you still double your money.
Yeah, I'm not getting involved with that, Benny.
I'm just saying the fact that they're offering it is interesting. I wanted to get
that is interesting, but they're trying to fool me. Screw them. No, Benny, I don't. Listen, you've taken my heart. You can't take my money. So I don't. I will. Only thing I'll bet their team total. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That I have no interest in betting on the Dallas Cowboys. I kind of would like to just watch that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I try to even limit my fantasy exposure to the Cowboys too, unless they have like a real good player, like Ezekiel Elliott, for example. You know what I'm saying?
I've always limited my Jets exposure for the last couple of years. This is the first year where I actually have a lot of exposure to different Jets on team. Like I have Robbie Anderson, I have some Jamison Crowder, I have some Le'Veon Bell. I took Sam Darnold as like my late round quarterback on a lot of these best balls because he was available. Like I was getting him like quarterback 24, quarterback 25. I probably have more Jets exposure in fantasy this year than I think I've ever had in my entire life.
That's interesting because my thing has always been, Benny, like I said, I just don't want you hurting me twice. Don't hurt me on Sunday by watching you, and then don't hurt my fantasy team. So it's kind of like, it's too painful sometimes to be a Dallas Cowboy fan.
I hear you.
4 years have been gone, Benny. Speaking of Dallas Cowboys, how about these busters right here? Washington football team and the Philadelphia E-Girls opens up at 7.5 with the Eagles laying 7.5, pushes all the way up to the Eagles laying 8.5. FanDuel right now has this at the Eagles laying 8.5. 52% of the bets, interestingly enough, on DC. 65% of the money, so you get a sharp money bump on Philadelphia to cover this big number. I won't bet this game. Philadelphia and Washington is funny, Benny. Washington will win one of their games against Philadelphia this year.
I probably won't take 8.5, but this is a key game that I would tease, yeah, because you 8.5 teases down to 2.5, which means you just need the Eagles to win by a field goal. Very, very happy with doing something like that. So this would definitely be a game that I would have on my teasers. Again, you get 6 points on a teaser, but you have to pick 2 games. I love looking at big favorites and teasing them down to like pick them or even money or getting it below 3, right? Because a lot of games end in a field goal. So if you can get 8.5 down to 2.5 on a teaser, basically you just need the Eagles to win by a field goal here. So like I said, I haven't put my betting strategy for week 1 together yet, but I'll tell you right now, if I see a spread like this at 8.5, because I really think the Eagles are going to win this game. Asking a team to cover 8.5 is a lot, though, because they could be up 14. They could be up 2 touchdowns with 2 minutes left, and the other team runs their 2-minute drill. And it happens all the time, which is why I don't like taking big numbers.
As a Jet fan, you're probably used to those backdoor covers.
Oh, I've actually won some of those backdoor covers where the Jets are down like, two touchdowns, and you come back and you get a couple scores late in the game, and then you wind up only losing by 5, and the spread was -7 or something like that, and you get to cover. But again, I don't want to take that chance, which is why I said for me, I'll tease this down to 2.5, take the Eagles as one side of my teaser, figure out who the other side's going to be, and basically just hope the Eagles win by a field goal at the least, because I'm pretty comfortable with them doing that.
The money line in this one, you got to lay 430 to get the Eagles money line.
Yep. Yeah, you don't mess with that. And even like at 430, you can't even parlay that with something else because it's not, it really doesn't give you anything of a boost. So,
it's no juice. But I those money lines you leave alone.
Yeah.
But let's say, for example, the spread was 8.5 and it was -225. At that point, I would bet DC because that right there, that number is too tricky. That number is too attractive. You know what I'm saying? That money line is too attractive. You got to look for stuff like that throughout the course of the year too. These people in Vegas, Vinny, they're not dummies at all.
Especially when it comes to football, because you get football is where they really make their money. That's the sport that's bet on the most. It's the sport that the most people play. Fantasy sports and everything for. It's the one that most people, even the casual fan, is getting involved in betting and caring about spreads on football games. The average fan is never going to be able to tell you what the spread or the money line is on an NBA game or an MLB game. But for some reason, everybody knows the spreads on football because everybody's in an office pool or something like that. So, you get a lot more of the money in there. That's where they make their most money. So that's where the lines are usually the sharpest in football.
One thing I will say, and you're 100% correct. They just won. They just had 1 million losers on Saturday night. You know what I'm saying? So they off and rolling, Penny. You know what I'm saying? Cincinnati and Seattle. The Bengals go to the Seahawks. This opened up at 8. It's pushed up to 10 on FanDuel. It's a couple of 9s and 9.5s floating around. The bets are with the Bengals, and the money is 50-50. I wouldn't touch this, Benny. If I did, can the Seahawks cover 10 in week 1? That's a lot for a team that don't really have – they got Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, and question marks at running back. Their defense is not the same. The Bengals should be able to cover this, but the Bengals probably stink too, though. I just no bueno, Benny. This would never be nowhere near my card. You think is there anything here that you like?
I'm not taking them at -9. I mean, I would expect Seattle to win this game. This could be another one. It's -9 on DraftKings right now. This could be another one that you throw into the teaser, right? Like I'd have no problem taking Seattle at home -3. Teasing it with Eagles -2.5. There's your teaser right there for week 1 because I do think Seattle wins this game, and I'd be fine with that, but I don't want to take Seattle at 9. Like 9 is – I know they're home. It's just 9's a big number. I don't know if I want to go there. I don't think that the Cincinnati offense sucks. I think they're probably middle of the pack in the league. I mean, they do have some weapons, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. There's a couple guys there that can do some things. I don't want to take the 9 here, but I would have no problem teasing it down. I do think Seattle wins this game.
Indianapolis and Indianapolis, the Colts and Chargers, Indianapolis and Los Angeles. Obviously this game was pulled off the board. When this game came back up on the board, It opened up with the Colts catching 7.5. So obviously the Clippers, I call for people who are not familiar with my broadcast style. If you hear me say the Clippers, I'm talking about the Chargers because when I see the LAC, my mind automatically thinks Clippers. So I'm not losing my mind, but the Clippers and the Chargers are basically the same. Or the Chargers are the football version of the Clippers. Anyway, the Clip joiners at home is going down to 7 across the board, Benny. Give me the hook. I'll buy the hook and give me the Colts. Come on, Benny. Come on, Benny. Ride with me, Benny.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was thinking more to be on the Colts side than on the Chargers side. I mean, remember, Chargers don't have Melvin Gordon. You're gonna have Austin Eckler back there. It weakens them a little bit. I do still think they're the better team. I don't think their home field advantage, because it's not really their home field, kind of, is that big a deal as it normally is. Yeah, I mean, I think people are just really, really down on the Colts right now. But you're giving me a whole touchdown on the Colts. I'd probably be on the Colts side of this.
I'll buy the hook, 7.5. Benny, I'll sprinkle on the money line. The money line is 270.
All right, I'm not backing that one with you. Good. I'll let you have that one, but I do like the Colts with the 7 points. I don't know if I would think that. I don't know if I like them to win, but what is it? What is it paying? Is it over 300?
No, it's 270.
It's close to 300. It's not horrible, but I don't think I would go there. But I do like the Colts.
$40, Benny. Come on, Benny. Right.
For $20, I'll do anything. But yeah, for plus 7, I'd be fine with the Colts. I don't know if I'd go money line on them though.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's probably a little aggressive, but I can see it happening. It's a rallying cry. Here's an interesting one that I won't put a single penny on. Maybe you will, Benny. The Cardinals opened up at +1 at home. They've been bet up to +2.5. The bets and the money, 3/4 of it both favor the Detroit Lions. I don't know what to think in this game. The Lions laying 2.5.
So here's what I really like in this game, Corey, because I actually already bet on this game.
Really?
I have no desire to bet the spread because I have no idea who's going to win this game.
Oh, the total.
47 is way too low.
Okay.
Way too low. Way too low. I don't think people understand the pace that this Arizona Cardinals team is going to try to play at. Now, again, at some point in the season, they may realize we can't do this and we have to change. But at least at the beginning of the season, they're going to come out, no huddle offense, spread the field, and just run and gun. So this could wind up being – I have this game in daily fantasy stacked in about 15 different ways already. Because I feel like this game is going to wind up being a shootout. I feel like this is the most likely game to go over the total. I would not be shocked if this game finishes like 38-28, like 50-60. I would have even probably bet the over on this game if it was in the 50s. At 47, the first time I saw it, I said there's something wrong with that. I don't like that at all. So I'm not betting either one of these teams to win because I honestly think it could go either way. But I'm expecting a hell of a lot of points to be scored in this game.
Numbers moving up, Benny. Going up to 48 around different spots. PointsBet has it at 47.5. DraftKings has it at 48. FanDuel's still holding on at 47 right now.
Yeah.
I think we'll end up getting a hook on that one at some point too, and it might push up to 48. When more people get a look at that, I would agree with you on that one. Coming up next, Benny, Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Laying 7 at home versus the New York Giants. I'm not betting this game. The bets and the money all on the New York Giants. The Giants looked it better in the preseason than I thought they would look. Eli Manning, Benny, go ahead, Benny. Go ahead. I can't. I'm not even going to bullshit you. Go ahead.
Like I said, it's going to be tough to listen to me on the Jets and Corey on Dallas. I got to be honest, I don't want to touch this game right now. I mean, if Ezekiel Elliott was here, I would take Dallas -7 and not look back and be perfectly fine with them at home. Without Zeke, though, I don't really want to touch this game. I would still think Dallas wins, but I'm not taking 7 points. And really, I just want to stay away from it. Like, I think the Giants are going to wind up taking more money at Giants +7 if Ezekiel Elliott is not in camp.
Tampa Bay and San Francisco. Tampa laying 1 point at home game is basically a pick 'em. I wouldn't be surprised if this game did go off as a pick 'em. Tampa Bay opened up at 1.5. Bets and the money are on the 49ers in this one. If I had to go away with this game, I would money line the Buccaneers at home. But Tampa Bay Buccaneers we're talking about, they don't win a lot of football games, Benny. Leave it alone.
I actually like the Bucks. I wouldn't money line it though, right? Because the Bucks money line is like -112, and the spread is Bucks -1 at -110. So you're really giving away like 2 cents because if they're gonna win, they gotta win by at least a point anyway. So I mean, I'll take the chance that they win by 1 and I push for the extra 2 cents. You know what I mean? So for me, I'd rather just go. I'm just gonna go Bucks -1. I like the Bucks. I think the Bucks are gonna be fine. I think that offense is going to put up a lot of points. Again, this is another one of those teams coming from the West Coast all the way over to the East Coast. I'm a little suspect of Jimmy Garoppolo. He hadn't really had a very good preseason up until like the last game, the last scrimmage or so. So I'm a little bit suspect of them. I would actually play against them in this one. I want to see that Tampa Bay offense with Arians in charge. And, I think they're going to be able to put up some points. And I would be on the Tampa Bay side of this game. So I'm taking Tampa Bay -1 here.
All right. And I agree with you on that one. New England and Pittsburgh, we get the Sunday night action in week 1. New England opened up laying 5.5. It's moved up to 6. The bet's on the Patriots. The money's on the Patriots. Not my favorite game to bet. I haven't looked at the total of this game yet. Let me guess. 51.5?
51 on – I'm looking at FanDuel right now. It's 51 on FanDuel. And I got to be honest, I love Patriots -6 here.
Really?
I'm not looking to tease it. I'm not looking to do anything. I think the Patriots more than a touchdown, yeah.
Dang, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what I'm saying? They can score.
Corey, this is the New England Patriots. They win football games. That's what they do. That's what they do. They win football games.
They don't beat up on the Steelers, though. Well, they haven't, and they beat them.
But I also don't think the Steelers team is the strongest Steelers team we've seen in years. I mean, we could say whatever we want about Antonio Brown and him acting crazy, but he's a hell of a football player, and he's no longer on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So, Dante Moncrief is a guy who couldn't hack it as a number 2 receiver with Andrew Luck. It's definitely a downgrade from Antonio Brown. Anybody who doesn't see that that's a huge downgrade is kidding themselves.
I don't know. Win this game in overtime.
You see them winning this game in overtime? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it even gets close to there, bro. You give Belichick a couple weeks to prepare for an opponent. They're not losing.
All right, no, they may not lose, but I think Pittsburgh can hang in there with them. I don't think Pittsburgh is afraid of that team. Houston and New Orleans, Monday Night Football, week 1. New Orleans opened up laying the 7. They are still laying that 7. Got a lot of bets and a lot of money coming in on the Houston Texans side of it. If I give me that hook at 7.5, and I'll roll with it.
Yeah, I'm on the New Orleans side of this one. New Orleans in the Superdome, Monday Night Football, opening day. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. You're not even going to be able to hear yourself. Deshaun Watson's not even going to be able to hear his own thoughts in his head while he's there waiting to take snaps in that game. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be a party. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good game to watch. So, is there only one Monday Night Football game this year?
Of course not. And then we have
good. I like that when there's more than one.
We have another game that's probably going to go off as a pick. Oakland actually opened up laying 3. It's been bet down to 1. I think it'll get to the pick. Most of the money, the bets and the money are on the Denver Broncos. I would have to be on tilt to bet this game, Benny.
Oh, I'm betting Denver. I'm taking Denver money line and not even thinking twice about it.
Not thinking twice.
No, you're gonna have to prove the Oakland Raiders are gonna have to prove to me that they don't suck before I would ever even consider, I'm not being serious, before I would ever even consider putting money on them, home or away. You got to prove to me that you don't suck. And I don't know, there seems to be a lot of distractions and a lot of BS going on. You got a rookie running back, your star wide receiver has a frozen foot and a helmet problem and hasn't been in camp all year. You got rid of your best offensive weapon in Jared Cook from last season. Tell me a reason why I really want to bet on the Raiders here. I don't care if they're at home. I don't care if they're favored or not. If I'm getting, so Denver is getting +1. What is the money line there? It's got to be less than 110 if they're getting +1, right? Is it like -105 or something?
Hold on 1 second.
I doubt it's plus money, but
it's probably going to go off at 105. Right now it's 108. Matter of fact, both teams are 108. This game is going to be a pick.
Yeah, I would take – so, again, I'm not going to take +1 on Denver at -110. I'll take the -108, hope that it gets down to -105 or even money. But give me the Denver money line here. Denver's going to win this game outright. Like I said, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Oakland's got to prove it to me before I put any of my hard-earned money on them.
All right, no baseball picks for the night. We'll have some college football picks coming up on Thursday. Get ready for that and also take you into the weekend. Benny, you got a big piece of chicken because I'm big piece of chickenless.
Let's see. Big piece of chicken last night goes to the St. Louis Cardinals offense for me because I stacked them up in DFS and they went off. I think they finished with 12 runs or so. And they did it nice and early for me, Corey. They had like 6 by the third inning, so my team was already towards the top of a lot of the standings, which made it a very nice night because I didn't have to worry too much about anything. It wasn't a fact of will I cash or won't I cash. It was just a matter of how much I'll cash for. So that's always good.
Well, and that's good for you, Benny, because I had money on the Milwaukee Brewers last night, and they got their ass handed to them by those St. Louis Cardinals. For my man, Benny, Charlie, I'm Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. The opening line, we are out.